الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2 and verse 177, a very important verse that is at the base and at the heart of our faith. Allah says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ till the end of the verse. I will take it in pieces. Righteousness is not that you turn your faces towards the east or the west. Now this verse was revealed when the Muslims were ordered to pray towards Bayt al-Maqdis, and Allah told them, switch it and point to Al-Kaaba. Now this change in direction caused a problem in the Muslim community. The ones who are weak in faith, started questioning, why did we switch? The direction is not the important thing. The obedience to Allah was the important thing. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in the rest of that verse is defining what does it mean to be righteous. Muttaqeen, because at the end of the verse, وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Those ones that have the characteristics I'm going to state are al-muttaqun. So if you are searching for righteousness is not in the exact direction of the Qibla. And we see some brothers, well-intentioned. Oh my God, you're praying 2 degrees off. The direction of the Qibla, most of the scholars said it's a direction, it's not a point. You don't need an engineer to come and give you the exact direction of where the Kaaba is. You can be off by a hair and you'll be off hundreds of miles. So that the point is not to quarrel over, are we 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees? It's the general direction. You have people in the US that pray southeast. They look at the map and say, okay, we're here, Bayt al-Maqdis is here, we're going to pray south. That's not right either. And it causes, big problems. So piety and righteousness, which we are in the month of acquiring piety, increasing in piety, is not to squabble and fight on secondary matters. We have to focus on the basics of the creed. That's first and foremost is what we need to focus on. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He wants us to be among the righteous. A righteous person is a model person the way Allah wants, and He gave us the recipe. So He said, لَيْسَ الْبِرْ, and then it says, وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرْ, and then He started defining what righteousness is. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ. That's one part. Believing in Allah, you want to be righteous? You believe in Allah. And the belief in Allah is not that He exists. It's the type of belief that drives you to obey Him. There's a lot of, non-Muslims, they believe there's a God that created this universe, but they will not obey Him. And Iblis recognized that Allah, فَبِعِزَّتِكَ, he acknowledged that Allah is the creator, but he didn't want to obey Him. So belief without obedience is meaningless. So belief in Allah, the type of belief that drives you to steadfastness and to come close to Him. So believe in Allah and believe in the last day. Because if you don't believe in the last day, you're gonna do bad things in this life, because nobody's gonna hold you responsible. Believing there is a last day when there's a judgment makes you walk the straight line, makes you change your behavior, makes you think about what you're gonna do before you do it. وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ, believe in things you cannot see. We believe there are angels because Allah told us there are angels. We cannot see them. We cannot sense. There are things we cannot sense. But because Allah told us they exist, we believe in that. وَالْكِتَابِ, belief out of analysis and research of Allah's revelation, the Quran. You have to believe in the Quran. You have to believe in its commands, that it's the word of Allah. وَالنَّبِيِّينَ, and following the messengers as role models in piety and righteousness. So that's the basic of the creed. Now, nailing down the basics of the creed is necessary but not sufficient to be from al-muttaqeen. That's a good start, but there's more to it. There's a practical aspect of being righteous. Belief without action is fruitless. There has to be action that proves your iman. So there's practical aspects. There must be evidence in character and actions. So now comes the rest of the verse. وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب. And gives wealth. So this is part of the righteousness, is to give wealth in spite of love for it. وآتى المال على حبه. If we did not love wealth, there is no reward in spending it. But because we love to earn it, we love to keep it, and Allah says spend it. When you spend it, even though you love it, that's where righteousness comes out. When you do things against your nature just to obey Allah. And also, وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ means giving, spending from things that you love. You don't, spending from things you don't need, you have no use for. Where's the reward? When you spend out of something that you really love, you really want, that's where righteousness comes into play. And then the verse gives the priority. Who do I give to? And you start with your family, with the closest people to you. Then you go to the relatives, the orphans, the needy, the traveler, those who need help, and for freeing slaves. That's the definition of social security in Islam. If every person took care of the people around him, and everybody did that, there'll be no need. Everybody will be taken care of. So prioritize when you want to do good things, when you want to help, start with the people around you. It's not good to go help people halfway across the world when your family is in need and the people around you are in need and you're going and helping elsewhere. You have to prioritize where that help goes. And then it goes, وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَ الزَّكَاةَ وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَاهَدُوا وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ. And who establish prayer and give zakat. Those who fulfill their promise and when they promise. And those who are patient in poverty and hardship and during battle. So establishing prayers is steadfastness and connection to Allah, not just standing and praying. That's salah. Iqamat as-salah, establishing prayer, is steadfastness between the prayers. It's doing, it's taking care of doing it properly and doing it the way that Allah wants. It's that salat is the connection with Allah. You have to take care of that connection, that relationship with Allah. And giving zakat is a metaphor also for connection. You give zakat, but it's a connection to people. You have a relationship with Allah and you have a relationship with people, and you have to do it with ihsan in both ways. And you have to be truthful when you promise. When you promise, a Muslim, when he promises, he keeps his promise. You don't, promise and break it. That's not the quality of a Muslim. And when you fulfill your contract with anyone and everyone, there is no such thing. I have a contract with a non-Muslim, so I'm gonna break it. I'm not obliged. No. When you make a promise, if you make that promise, it does not matter who you make that promise to. You have to keep it. That's it's essential for righteousness. And then patience in 3 tough situations: in extreme poverty, in hardship, and during battle. So you have to have all of these qualities. And Allah says in the ending of the verse, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Those are the ones who have been true. They've been true to themselves. They've been true to Allah. They've been true to the people around them. And it is those who are the righteous. That's their qualities. If you think you are a righteous person, use that verse. That verse, Allah gave it to us as a measure and a goal. Use it. So this verse is very comprehensive. It goes through the faith, the basics of creed, but there's action. There's faith and action. You'll never find amanu wa amilu salihat. Amanu wa amilu salihat. There is always action to enforce the faith. So the first part of the verse was the aspects of creed, the basics of creed, but the rest of it was action. Action in the worship part, action in the financial part. Some of it was obligatory, like zakat. Some of it was voluntary spending. And there was action in behavioral part of good manners and patience with adversity. So if we want to achieve the level of muttaqeen in the month that we have to acquire to increase our taqwa, this is the formula. This is what we have to pay attention to. And, if we don't elevate our taqwa in Ramadan, when are we going to do it? There's not going to be any better place. Now is the time when Allah has shackled the devils, closed the doors of hell, and just left each one of us to his self. You only have to fight yourself in Ramadan. You don't have to fight the devils and a bunch of other. You only have yourself to subdue in this month and to keep it on the straight path. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum.